Hello everyone, welcome back to the second lesson of the Algebra and Algebra 1 Honors Summer Packet. Today we're going to talk about distributive property. So distributive property was the second step that we talked about when we were talking about, simplifying algebraic expressions. So today we're going to talk about it a little bit more. So the distributive property is multiplication based, that's all it really is, it's just multiplication that's being distributed over either addition or subtraction. Those are the only ways we do distributive property, is if there's addition and subtraction inside the parentheses. Okay? We also really only use distributive property when there's variables in play. If there weren't variables in play, we could just go ahead and do order of operations. Okay? But here's a little tidbit. So when we have distributive property, we are multiplying a number and a group. Okay, we're always multiplying a number and a group. So what we need to do is actually make sure everybody in that group gets multiplied by that number on the outside. Think of it like if your teacher came into class and had treats for you guys, she needs to make sure everybody in the class got the treat. She can't just give it to the person in front and be done. Okay? So here's a couple of examples. You can do 5 in the front times x plus 2 inside, so you do 5 times x just gives you 5x, and 5 times 2 would give you 10. So that would be the simplified form of distributive property. It works the same way if the parentheses is in the front and the numbers in the back. You would just multiply everything inside the parentheses. So x plus 4 is getting multiplied by 8, so you're going to multiply the x times the 8 and get 8x, and you're going to multiply the 4 times the 8 to get 32. It will work the exact same way if there is subtraction inside the parentheses. Again, you multiply the stuff that's on the outside with the things that are on the inside. Okay? The only thing with subtraction that you need to be aware of is with that you always want to include that subtraction sign with the number that's right behind it. So, for example, in this example, 4 is getting multiplied with x, but it's also getting multiplied with the negative 7. Okay? So we have 4 times x gives you 4x, and 4 times negative 7 gives you the negative 28 there. Okay? So example 1, we have some distributing to do. So we're going to distribute this 8 that's on the outside with the 2n, the 2n and the positive 1. So what happened here? I accidentally clicked early. But what I strongly encourage everyone to do is to circle the terms that are getting multiplied with 8 and include the sign that's in front of that term. Okay? So you're going to do 8 times the 1 and 8 times the positive 2n. So 8 times 1 plus the positive 2n times 8. And you go ahead and just multiply together. 1 times 8 is 8, and 2n times 8, you would just multiply the 2 and the 8, and you get 16n. Okay? The other part is this one. So if you see a number minus the parentheses, okay, this number over here, this minus x, is not what's being distributed. The number that is right in front of that parenthesis sign, is the number getting multiplied. And if you don't see a number there, like we don't see here, you put in that invisible r. You put in that invisible 1. So really we're distributing out a negative 1. So I'm going to multiply negative 1 times the 3x, and I'm going to multiply it by the positive x squared. Okay? And I circled my terms that I'm multiplying the negative 1 with. So this negative x is just hanging out in the front. It's still going to hang out in the front. But now we're doing negative 1 times 3x, so negative 1 times 3 gives us negative 3. And negative 1 times, remember this has an invisible 1 as well, it's just not showing up. So negative 1 times x squared, it's just negative x squared. Okay? So now I have negative x plus negative 3x, which really just means, well, we'll talk about what it means in a second, plus negative x squared. So when you have these double signs, like plus and negative, it's the same thing as just saying minus. So whenever you have double signs like this, you always want to replace it with the one sign that it needs. So I would write out minus 3x and minus x squared. Now we also had like terms that we needed to combine, the negative x and the negative 3x, which gave us negative 4x. and then I would replace those double signs with a single sign. Sorry, that got a little confusing. Basically, distribute, combine your like terms, and then get rid of any double signs. So if you have a plus and negative, it really means subtraction. If you have plus a positive, it just means plus. Okay? Yeah, that was the end of it, right? Yeah. Sorry. So now you guys are going to try some on your own. This one, yes, it's got a fraction, but fractions show up a lot in algebra, so it'll be fine. And this one just has a negative sign in front, so remember you have to put that invisible number in there to work it out. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put it all together. We talked about distributive property, we talked about combining like terms, now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of simplifying algebraic expressions. So the very first thing we had to do was distribute, the second thing was combine like terms. Alright, so here's our first example. We've got two parentheses, which means we're distributing to a lot of things here. Okay? This first parenthesis is being multiplied with 2. So that means the 2 is going to get multiplied with this, well, this negative 2 first, and then it's going to get multiplied with the negative 5q, and then it's going to get multiplied with the positive 8. This minus sign is really a negative 1, so we're going to distribute that to the 3q, to the y, and to the negative 3 that's right there. So go ahead and write all that out. You don't have to write out the multiplication, like how it looks when you multiply. That's totally fine if you want to just do it in your head and write it out. But now once I've multiplied it all together, I will get negative 4, negative 10q, positive 16, negative 3q, negative 1, and positive 3, because negative 1 times negative 3 gives me a positive 3. Okay? Now that I have all my correct terms, I can see if I have any like terms to combine. I've got a negative 10q and a negative 3q that I can combine. I have a negative 4, a positive 16, and a positive 3 that are all the same. They're all just numbers. And then I have a negative 1y that isn't combinable with anything else. So now I'm just going to go ahead and combine. So I did negative 4 plus 16 plus 3. And then I did negative 10 plus negative 3 and put the q on the end. Okay? So what I did when I did the numbers, I got 15. Negative 10q plus negative 3q gives me negative 13q. And I just brought down the negative 1y. So this is what I'm talking about, the double signs here. I'm going to replace this plus negative 13q with just a minus 13q. And this plus negative 1y with just a minus 1y. Or just y. And that would be my final answer. Okay? So now, you guys are going to try this one on your own. Alright? Good luck! I say that, but then I don't have my recorder ready to go. Bye, guys.